A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News. You're with me, Florin Rajendran.
A very good evening, I'm Joe Louds. Could we start off with tonight's headlines?
Higher allocation of funds for education next year. An assurance from the President. Individuals in remand custody for alleged LTT connections stage hunger strike. Chief Minister Vigneswaran reiterates Justice Minister's response on political prisoners is political. TULF leader questions why prisoners cannot be released. Navy investigation report on the Avantgarde floating armoury handed over to the Defence Secretary. Protest demanding clean drinking water in Bandagiri ends in a tense situation.
Eva Vanasundara took oaths before President Maithripala Sirisena today as the acting Chief Justice. Having served as a senior justice of the Supreme Court for a long period of time, Eva Vanasundara took oaths at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. Presidential Secretary P.B. Abekun was also present at the occasion.
28 meet records were established at the All-Ireland School Games which concluded today. Maristella College, Negombo won the All-Irelands Boys Championship for the 6th time, while Valala A. Ratnayaka Central College emerged the girls champions for the 10th time.
The All-Ireland School Games, which was held over a period of 5 days at the Mahinda Rajapaksa Stadium in Diagama, came to a close today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyavasam was also in attendance. The finals of the 4x400 meters relay were held prior to the closing ceremony. The vibrant closing ceremony consisted of drills performed by school children and a special performance by the students of the Chitra Lane School for Special Children.
Anga Sampurno Danuma Labadima Sandaha.
A large sum of funds have been allocated for the Ministry of Education for 2016 when compared to previous years to provide a holistic education. Initial preparations have been made to formulate a program, if needed, to provide guidance outside the school curriculum, particularly for parents on childcare and protection. In society today, we are exposed to crimes against children and unbelievable tragedies that befall on children. It is essential to take measures to eradicate such tragedies from society.
අපේ සමාජයෙන් තුරන් කිරීමට වහවහ පියවර ගැනීම ඉතාමත්ම අවශ්‍යයි.
රන් පදක්කම 4ක් පාසලට රැගෙන යද්දී තරග වාර්තාව ලබා තිබෙනවා.
The highlight of the 2015 All-Ireland School Games was 3 new meet records set by two brothers, Pasindu Bhavanta and Aruna Darshana of Veera Kapatipola National School in Mathale.
කෑගල්ල ශාන්ත ජෝසප් බාලිකා විද්‍යාලය නියෝජනය කර RMR
A tense situation erupted during a protest staged in the Badagiri area in Hambantota today, demanding for clean drinking water. The tense situation erupted when police attempted to disperse the protesters.
A group of persons launched a demonstration around 9:30 this morning, alleging that the water supplied by the Bandagiri water supply scheme is unsuitable for consumption. The protesters staged their demonstration while obstructing the Katurgama-Colombo main road.
We do not have water to drink. The water which we do get is stale and comes from around 4 to 5 fields. This water contains bacteria which causes kidney diseases. We need a solution to this issue. We need an official to come here and provide us with a solution.
The district secretary is saying that there is nothing he could do and that he has informed the higher authorities, so there is no other solution to this matter. Up to date, no official has come here to look into our problems. During the election, however, politicians came here so often they could run us over on this road. But now, not a single one of them would even come here for a minute to look into our sorrows. The protest, which lasted for hours, obstructed the Kathurama-Colombo main road and hampered vehicular movement on the road. Thereafter, the police arrived at the scene and tried to negotiate with the protesters for the road to be reopened. However, as the angry crowd refused to reopen the road, the police anti-riots unit was dispatched to the location to disperse the crowd. They can get the anti-riots unit here, but they can't get an official to do so. Is the HQI of the Hambantota police trying to repeat what happened in Ratapaswala? Are they trying to chase us and our innocent children away with the use of tear gas? All we want is an official to arrive here. As the situation became more tense between the police and the protesters, the demonstrators resorted to pelting stones. The police said that the police HQI and 2 other police officers were injured. Three protesters also sustained injuries and were admitted to the Hambantota General Hospital. The police said that 12 arrests were made.
Meanwhile, the 12 suspects who were arrested during the protest were produced before Hambantota District Magistrate Isurunepti Kumara. After taking into consideration the facts presented by both the police and the suspects, the magistrate concluded that the protest was staged in order to meet their fundamental rights and ruled that this was conducted on a justifiable ground. The magistrate, who stated that the situation arose over the failure of the relevant authorities to provide a solution to the issue, released the suspects on bail.
In local news this evening, the case pertaining to the killing of 4 persons, including Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, was taken up at the Colombo High Court today. The case was taken up before special trial at bar, comprising of Justices Shiran Gunaratna, Kusala Sarojini Vijayawardena and RMB Morias.
This was the first instance the case pertaining to the killing of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra was examined by a 3-judge bench at the High Court. 12 suspects, including former MP Duminda Silva and Ravi Jayanath alias Dematagoda Chaminda, were produced before court today. The 10th accused in the case continues to be missing. Giving evidence, Special Task Force Constable Damit Suranga Kumara stated that former parliamentarian Duminda Silva assaulted 3 women on the date of the local government election on the 8th of October 2011 outside a polling centre in close proximity to Rahula College in Angoda. He also stated that the wife of the Kotikavatta Mulleriya Pradesh Sabha chairman, Prasanna Solangarachi, was among those who had been assaulted. The police constable also stated that former MP Duminda Silva had assaulted the 3 women while questioning them as to whom they had cast their vote for.
I hope that my father's soul will rest in peace, and this will bring our lives much peace, as this case will be proceeded without any political interference.
The case is due to be taken up for trial once again tomorrow.
Leaders and parliamentarians of several opposition political parties convened a joint media briefing in Colombo today. Party leaders reiterated that a convention will be held in Colombo on the 19th of this month on the government's efforts to conceal accurate information in the UN resolution in Geneva and the current economic crisis in the country.
We have decided to go to the public and intervene in this serious situation that has dawned on the country. The government has not tabled a true copy of the resolution which it signed to Parliament or to any parliamentarian so far. We firmly emphasize therefore that it has not been presented to the country. If the government hopes to debate on this issue in Parliament in this backdrop, it is an attempt made by the government to undermine the country and the supremacy of Parliament.
Addressing the Human Rights Council following the report of the High Commissioner being presented, Mangala Samaravira stated that the Prevention of Terrorism Act will be repealed and the Public Security Ordinance will be amended. What would happen if the Public Security Ordinance is repealed or amended? If a particular provincial council controlled by a power that is beyond the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, as it was during the time of Varadaraja Perumal, then the President will not possess the legality to control such a situation.
America is telling us how to formulate constitutions, legal reforms, constitutional reforms, security acts, power devolution and the 13th Amendment. What is the point of our parliamentarians? There is no purpose for our parliamentarians. What is the point of having 225 parliamentarians in our parliament? Today the chief economic advisor of the government is Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran. There are three forms of taxation. The customs tax, income tax and the excise duty have become scams. No matter what government comes into power, these mechanisms will not work and government revenue is decreasing. This is affecting the lower levels of society. The elite classes would not even feel it.
We are aware that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, as the Minister of Policy Planning, together with Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake, both from the United National Party, have created a major crisis in the financial management of the country. 200 specialist workers who have obtained postgraduate degrees have been transferred at once from their departmental positions, like pawns. Never before have 200 experts been transferred based on political influence from a centre of expertise such as the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. There is a reason for this transfer. Those who gave evidence to the COPE committee on the major fraud and bond scam that took place at the central bank have been rendered helpless through these transfers.
On to a story that made it to the headlines this evening. The Ministry of Defence has decided to launch investigations into the Avantgarde floating armoury that entered Sri Lankan waters without prior notification. Secretary of Defence Karunasena Hettiarachchi said that investigations will be launched in the near future. The Avantgarde-owned floating armoury, which was in close proximity to the Red Sea, was taken into custody of the Sri Lankan Navy on the 5th of this month after it had entered the seas of Galle. The vessel was taken into the custody of the Sri Lankan Navy on charges of breaching maritime boundary regulations and providing false information. The investigations report, which was formulated by the Navy in this regard, was handed over to the Defence Secretary today. The Navy Commander Vice Admiral Ravindra Vijay Gunaratne said that the report consists of facts detailing violation of laws by the vessel in question. The investigation report has revealed that permission was not granted to transfer the firearms which were aboard the Avantgarde vessel to a different location. The report goes on to note that the responsibility of protecting a floating armoury lies with the Navy and that the Navy would escort the floating armoury if notified earlier. The report also outlines that the captain of the floating armoury had deliberately provided the Navy with false information, even though a maritime security company is under duty to provide with true information under the Navy and international maritime laws. The report had also highlighted that initial communication revealed that the captain of the vessel was a Sri Lankan national, even though his true identity was verified to be that of a Ukrainian national. And the captain of the vessel has been instructed by the mother company not to respond to queries posed by the Navy, adding that the Navy is vested with the powers to drown vessels bearing arms which threaten national security. The Navy commander also drew reference to previous instances where the Navy had resorted to such actions.
There is a need for a special investigation in this regard. A special committee will conduct investigations within this week and the Minister of Defence has also been notified of this. The report notes that the Avantgarde vessel had failed to follow the adequate procedures and investigations will be carried out in this regard.
Meanwhile, Director General of the Sri Lanka Coast Guard, Rear Admiral Samantha Wimalatunga, said that the officials of the department will be undertaking this task with the Navy officials. The Director General goes on to note that the Avantgarde vessel is currently under the custody of the Sri Lankan Coast Guard.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faiza Mustafa says that the government hopes to hold the next local government elections under the electoral divisions and mixed proportionate system. The minister made this statement while addressing an event in Rajagiriya today.
We will conduct the forthcoming local government election under the electoral system. Under this system, 70% of it will be based on the electoral system, while 30% will be under the mixed proportionate system. It is the intention of His Excellency the President and the Prime Minister to bring the facts in the 20th Amendment to the Constitution to the rural level. This is to create an MP who is responsible for an electorate. The Prime Minister stated that they hope to hold the elections in March. We know that there have been various issues pertaining to the boundaries of electorates. The President and Prime Minister are committed to holding cordial discussions with parties and come to a solution on this matter. The Children's Park on Kolonnavar Road, which was constructed under a proposal of the Sri Jawardhanapura Kotte Municipal Council, was declared open under the auspices of Minister Faiza Mustafa today.
International cricket legends and UNICEF Regional Goodwill Ambassador Sachin Tendulkar arrived in Sri Lanka as part of UNICEF's hygiene and sanitization program for children in Sri Lanka. Now, during his short stay in the islands, Newsfirst Zulfiq Farzan caught with little master of exclusive insight into this cricketing legend's work towards child sanitization and hygiene.
As an ambassador for UNICEF and as a father, how would you recommend parents and society take measures to keep children healthy and have proper sanitation facilities?
My role as a UNICEF ambassador, I believe, is something I would like to reiterate on what my parents told me, about hygiene and how important it is to keep your hands clean before you eat, or when you've used washrooms, to make sure that you've cleaned your hands, you've used soap, because there are so many diarrheal diseases which spread without you realizing. Sometimes we have this tendency of taking things for granted, and that includes our health. As far as I'm concerned, I think this is a big match against all the diarrheal diseases, because it is disheartening to know that 1,600 children die of diarrheal disease every day in the world. This cannot continue like this.
Now, you had an amazing career in cricket. Did you ever think when you were a kid that you will become one of the greatest cricketers of all time?
It's been a journey that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I've always sort of knew that I will play one day good standard of cricket, and that was my dream. My dream started when India won the World Cup in 1983, and from there on I started chasing my dream. I wanted to hold that trophy one day in my hands as well. No, I was just passionate about cricket. I cared about cricket. I loved cricket. I didn't want anything else in life. Nothing else mattered. I wanted to play for India, and I chased my dream. I think it's important to have a dream and then to chase it. Dreams do come true, but you have to work hard for it.
The detainees who were arrested on charges of having links with the LTTE staged a hunger strike demanding officials to secure their release.
The detainees who were arrested on suspicion of associating with the LTTE commenced their hunger strike this afternoon. Commissioner General of Prisons Rohana Pushpakumara noted that the hunger strike is being carried out by detainees from the Anuradhapura prison and the Colombo Magazine prison.
Officials had failed to file charges under any criminal offence against detainees who are being imprisoned for close to 5 years. They have been detained under mere suspicion that they may have been associated with the LTTE. The police have carried out investigations into this suspicion, right? However, the police have failed to file indictments against these suspects or even present evidence in this regard.
ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න මෙතෙක් කාලයක් පොලිසියට බැරි වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of Prisons held discussions with the detainees who staged a hunger strike at the Colombo Magazine prison today.
ඔවුන් සමග කිසි ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. ඔවුන් මේ වර්ජනය කරන්නේ ආහාර වර්ජනය කරන්නේ අපේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ තියෙන පරිපාලනයට විරුද්ධව නෙමෙයි.
We do not have any issue with them. They are not protesting against the administration of our department. They had written a letter to the president in May appealing for their release. They are staging this hunger strike in order to send a message to the government once again. They are urging that they be released as they have only committed minor offences as opposed to the ones who have committed major offences who have already been released.
දුන අය එළියේ ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් අපිටත් ඒ විදිහට සලකලා නිදහස දෙන්න කියන එක තමයි ඔවුන් කියන්නේ.
201 suspects, including 4 women, are being detained in prisons located in several parts of the island under charges of associating with the LTTE. Adding that 40 suspects have been issued with court orders citing punitive measures, the Commissioner General of Prisons noted that indictments are yet to be filed against 161 suspects. Colombo Magazine Prison has detained 101 prisoners, while the Anuradhapura prison has detained 30 prisoners. Few suspects are also being detained in Valikada, Bogambara, Trincomalee, Kalutara, Batticaloa, Badulla, Galle, Jaffna, Polonnaruwa and the Monaragala prisons. Chief Minister of the Northern Province, C.V. Vigneshwaran, had written to the President requesting the release of these detainees. The Chief Minister of the Northern Province had mentioned in his letter to the President that the suspects have been detained for a prolonged period of time. The Chief Minister also states that a list be prepared of the prisoners, categorizing them according to the offences in respect of which they have been taken into custody. Chief Minister of the Northern Province, C.V. Vigneshwaran, goes on to note that all detainees who are suspected of committing minor offences could be provided a general pardon or at the very least be released on bail immediately.
සිර දඬුවම් විඳින පුජ්‍යලයකට පොදු සමාවත් දීමේ බලය අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාට විතරමයි තියෙන්නේ.
Only the President is vested with the power of granting a pardon. A decision pertaining to the ones who already have pending cases could only be taken following consultation with experts in the legal field. This does not come under the purview of the Department of Prisons. A suitable decision should be taken by the Ministry of Justice together with legal organizations. Since they have been imprisoned as suspects by the courts, it is a responsibility of our department to protect.
දැනට බන්ධනාගාර ගත කර ඇති නිසා ඔවුන්ව බලා ගැනීම තමයි අපේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ රාජකාරිය.
There was a major incident concerning prisoners today. 20 years after, individuals who went to prison in their youth are now old. We cannot even imagine the trauma and agony these people are going through. Individuals who have been charged with murder and other criminal activities are seated in Parliament today. A general amnesty was granted to individuals who were charged with major offences after the Sri Lanka Indoor Accord. It's been 6 years following the end of the conflict. We are saying there are political prisoners and the government is denying it. The Justice Minister had said that there are no political prisoners, but only those who have been accused of wrongdoings are in prison. This statement cannot be accepted. I know attorney at law Rajapaksa well. He is a good lawyer and appeared for several cases. However, the statement that he made is politically motivated. If you speak to a political prisoner, he will tell you all about it. Some are in prison based on suspicion. Why are they not being granted bail?
Investigations commenced today into the complaint filed at the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission by the 17-year-old schoolboy and another individual who were arrested and detained in connection with the murder of Seya Sademi in Kotadeniava.
The plaintiff has drawn the attention of the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission to contradictions on the date of arrest and the fact that the arrest was made without justifiable suspicion. Being assaulted while under custody, the identity of the arrested individuals being made public and the character of the arrested individuals being tarnished were discussed. We presented written submissions before the Commission. A medical report stating that they have not been assaulted have been presented. However, the Commission stated that the reports were contradictory in nature. The Commission ordered that the doctor who issued the medical report be interrogated before the Commission. Meanwhile, statements were recorded in connection to the complaint that was lodged against the Kotadeniava police by the 17-year-old schoolboy and the other individual who was arrested. Police media spokesperson stated that suspects who were in custody with these two individuals were brought in for questioning to the Devulapitia police station to record statements in the presence of an assistant superintendent of police. There was a complaint lodged with the Inspector General of Police regarding the 17-year-old schoolboy who was arrested in connection with the murder of Seyasa Devmi. Statements from 10 civilians were recorded as part of the initial investigation.
कोई अम्मගෙනුත් ඇස්වලින් කඳුළු අපේ දරුවට වෙයි දන්නේත් නැහැ ඉතින් අපි ගොඩාක් මේ දෙයට ගොඩාක් කැමතියි මේ දේ කරපු දෙය. ඔයාලා මේ දේ කරපු එක ගැන අපි ගොඩාක් ස්තුති වෙනවා ඔයාලට.
This was the response given at the Chilao Fish Market to the awareness campaign titled For Our Children, an island-wide program organized by Newsfirst. The campaign, which is organized together with the Ministry of Law and Order and Prison Reforms, got underway in Chilao and Ampara today.
The For Our Children campaign, which is creating awareness from city to city among the public on how children should be protected as delicate flowers, commenced today's leg from the St. Sebastian's Church in Valla, Chilao.
Newsfirst.
We are honestly thankful for the measures Newsfirst has taken. All of us cast our blessings on Newsfirst.
This is quite important for our village, and on behalf of our village, I thank Sirisa.
It was with the assistance of the locals in the area that our crew went from door to door in the Valla area in Chilao, creating awareness on this cause.
අපි දරුවෝ ස්කූල් වෑන් එකට දානවා. අපි දරුවන්ගේ මොන්ටිසෝරි යවනවා. දරුවන්ව ටියුෂන් යවනවා. හැබැයි අපි දරුවෝ ගැන හොයලා බලන ප්‍රමාණය ඇතිද?
A large community who spend days away from their children at sea reside in Chilao. This group were made aware on this cause at the Chilao fishing harbour. Our crew who arrived at the fish market created awareness there as well. As our crew arrived at the Munneswaram Kovil in Chilao and created awareness among those present there, our crew also took part in a puja for the protection of children. Our crew, who then arrived in Pala via Putlam, took note of a tragic incident which had happened in the area. According to the locals, a 6-year-old girl was molested around 2 weeks ago. Child abuse which is taking place around the country has spread to Putlam as well. All I ask is that what happened to my child should not happen to anyone else. As a media organization, keep creating awareness on this.
In business news, trade unions urge the government to immediately intervene to solve issues existing in the tea industry. Over 3 million individuals in the tea industry are facing a myriad of hardships as the price of tea in the world market has decreased.
The minor tea plantation owners in Moravaka held a demonstration in a bid to draw the attention of the authorities to the hardships that are faced by them. As the demand for tea has decreased in Russia and the Middle East, the export income of tea has decreased for about a year.
The price of a kilo of low country tea has decreased to 53 rupees, while the price for middle grown tea and upcountry tea has dropped to 43 rupees. A situation where small tea plantation owners cannot spend for their daily requirements has arisen. Therefore, the government has to intervene. The tea board in Colombo needs to intervene. It needs to buy tea at the auction.
Furthermore, trade unions point out that the usual salary increment to workers at large-scale tea estates have been delayed by 6 months.
The basic salary was 450 rupees. The Labour Minister says that it will be increased to 500. That is unfair. We ask that this be increased from 450 rupees to 750 rupees, which is a 300 rupee increment.
When inquired, Minister of Plantation Industries Navin Dissanayake stated that recommendations have been made to the Finance Ministry for the government to purchase tea through the tea board in order to avoid the drop in tea prices. The minister, however, reiterated that the plantation associations do not have the capability to increase the salaries of estate workers.
Well, on that note, we wrap up the news for tonight. It was a pleasure having you with us this evening. Take care and good night. I'm Joel Outscored.
And I'm Florin Rajendran. Have a good night.